Hey guys, yeah, it is September 3rd, Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. It is 7:10 a.m. in the morning, and yes, the title says it best. As of today, officially, as of today, we are totally back to normal. That's right. Now, I'm sure a lot of people that watched my last video I did 2 weeks ago, I said we're back to semi-normal, and then I did something like a follow-up, like a mini channel update or whatever, also kind of bringing that up. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, well, what does he mean by back to semi-normal? I don't get it. What's the difference? Well, as I tried explaining there, I'll explain here. Just in case you guys didn't, didn't kind of understand that, and I do apologize. But the difference between back to semi-normal and back to normal is semi-normal when it comes to me and my mom and, her going back to work, at the Head Start in Livermore. The difference basically is her first week back is all about training. It's mostly all about training and stuff. And there's always a good chance that one of those days, if not a few of them within that first week, instead of getting off at 5 or 4:30, instead they can get off at 3:30 or 4, maybe even 3 at the earliest, and that's it. Kind of like the final week, before, they go to, summer break, kind of like the final day or two before they go on Christmas break or even spring break, you name it. But it's kind of like that. Even kind of like the day before Thanksgiving. It falls along those lines. Like basically any of the days before the breaks or before a holiday that they get, they will, it's kind of like that to where they might get off early. So that's why I talked about semi-normal. The other thing when I talk about semi-normal is the fact that when she goes back to school, as we have, not we, but as I have noted previously, her birthday also falls around the same time. And not only her birthday, but the following week, so does Labor Day. Now, of course, it all depends on the school schedule, for that year, especially that year itself, whether it's leap year or not. Basically, her schedule falls, like I said, around her birthday and Labor Day, which means basically she will either take the day of or the day before or after her birthday off, so she can, have time to herself, relax. And then, of course, you got the last major summer holiday, as people look at it, called Labor Day, which was yesterday, to where she could just relax and, just do what she wants to do. And that's kind of, like I said, what falls into the category of back to semi-normal because of the fact that she still gets, some time to herself. She still gets like time off and everything to do what she's got to do and everything. Whether it's because an official holiday or it's because, her birthday falls around, either before or after the Monday of the second week she's back at work. The other thing too that makes semi-normal and normal, kind of different is also we have a couple of birthdays around that time. We have my niece and her daughter, my great niece's birthday, basically the weekend before my mom goes back to work, or even the week she goes back to work. So that's one thing. And then we have my older sisters and my mom's as well. So we have a lot of those birthdays to end August, off with, if you know what I mean. So, it's kind of like one of those situations to where you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to be planned or anything. So you just, roll with the punches. You know what I'm saying? You just roll with the punches and see what it brings you. And long story short, that's kind of what happened here. That's kind of what happens here. And not just this year, but every year, just about. It's one of those situations to where you just got to roll with what you got and just play it by ear. That's about it. But now, But now when we get to the back to normal portion, which is, as of today, you know, that's when it gets a little bit more, interesting. If you know what I mean. That's when it gets a little bit more interesting, to say the least. And the reason I say that mainly is because of the fact that when you get back, when I talk about back to normal, and the difference with semi-normal, is back to normal is basically the fact that I will have, unless I go back to work, and it should be soon, hopefully, unless I go back to work, and even with that, I could have plenty of time to myself. That's right. I can have plenty of time to myself to do content for this channel. Whether my computer, thank the Lord it's still working, is working properly or not, I can still do content for you guys. And, that's a huge blessing. But like I said, the difference between it and semi-normal is, yes, when she goes back in the first 2 initial weeks, yeah, I get time to, provide content and everything. But like I said earlier, it all depends on, what time she's going to be off and everything. What time she's going to be off, whether or not she'll be home before her initial time, whether she'll be, home a lot later. It's all basically a dependence of, what her job, in the first 2 weeks is having her do, along with the other teachers, to get them ready for the new school year. But, but the thing is, the way it falls into, like I say, being semi-normal, being part of the semi-normal, not the normal. The normal is basically that as of today, and I would say at the latest being Columbus Day or whatever they call it now. A more appropriate name. I can't think of it right now. I do apologize. But up till about that day, which I think they have off, basically I will have, again, depending whether or not I'm working, and even if I am, my schedule should work it out till I still have time to myself to do my content. Basically up to that moment, I have a lot of free range. Like what I'm doing now, walking around, doing videos, maybe going outside to do a video. It's all basically free range now. And again, I should say, yes, very similar to when I went back to semi-normal 2 weeks ago. But again, the difference though is we had, she still had a couple of days off coming up. Like I said, her birthday that she requested, Labor Day, of course. And then we had some family, birthdays and all that. But the thing I'm trying to say, I know it sounds confusing and a little conflicted, but the thing I'm trying to say is basically when it comes to back to normal and semi-normal is right now, this is considered back to normal because, again, like I said, I don't have to worry until at least October or so, unless at least until October, or unless something happens at her job, I don't have to worry about having to work around things. I have free range to do what I want, And yeah, like I was trying to say, I was just checking my computer there to make sure nothing is going on with it. One thing about my computer, and thank the Lord it's still working properly. One thing about it, for some odd reason, is that the internet, when it gets slow, and I don't know why it would be slow, basically what happens is it will slow down a lot of things, mostly like the updates, little updates, like virus protection updates. And basically what that'll cause you to do after a while, if you're waiting, trying to be patient, what that'll cause you to do is have to restart the whole thing hard reset wise. And yeah, it helps out, but it is a bother. So hopefully that doesn't happen again for a while. I mean, I'm not supposed to have an update till next Tuesday, but who knows? Who knows what's going on here? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, getting back on subject. Basically, like I said, yes, when it came to semi-normal, I did have free range. But again, like I said, I had no idea whether or not she was going to call me up and say, hey, Brian, they let us out early today. I'm going to come home. And that could be, and let's say that could be around the time of 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. And I'd be like, okay, yeah, I still have time to do some content, but not entirely, because I don't know whether or not she's just going to drive straight home, straight to the house and everything, traffic depending, and then park and then come inside, or if she's going to drive home, traffic depending, stop at Walmart, stop at Starbucks maybe, or get her gas and then come home. I don't know what would be. I don't know what would happen and everything. That's just me. That's just me. And again, I know it sounds a little confusing, a little conflictive, but that's kind of what semi-normal is, as I was saying. And the difference with back to normal again, is I know what her set schedule is. Her set schedule mainly is to get off at 4:30, maybe 5, like she's going to get off tomorrow because she's got a CPR training, second part of it. Basically, I know, I know essentially what her schedule is, unless something comes up. So I know what her schedule is. It's mainly she goes in, starts work about 8 o'clock, 8:30, gets off at 4:30. I know she's going to call between 10 and 11, around that time frame, because that's her first break. I know she's going to call me. About, I would say, 1 or 2. That's her lunch. And then she'll call me probably between 2 and 3 because that's her last break. So I kind of have an idea what the schedule is. I know that sounds weird, but when she does what she does, she calls me up 3 times a day, maybe even 4 times to let me know she's there. What else are you going to do? What else are you going to do except kind of memorize something like that? But I do know her schedule, by heart. Just, I know her schedule, almost 95% of it by heart because of the fact that, of when she calls and everything and so on. And like I said, there are a few exceptions. Like tomorrow, she's got to do the second part, the in-person part for the CPR training, and she'll be off at 5, maybe sooner. We're not really sure, because when she did the first part via Zoom on her computer 2 weeks ago, basically it was scheduled from to be 9 to 12, and instead it ended up being basically 9 to 11:45, 11:40 at the earliest. So. So I don't know what's going to happen there. So I don't know what's going to happen whether or not she's going to get off at 5, maybe 4:45, heck, maybe even 4:30 if they do it early. We don't know. But we'll see. But I do know she's getting off at 4:30 today, all depending though, whether or not she calls up and says, yeah, they're letting us have at 4 now. Okay, that's new. But I don't think so. It's always 4:30. So yeah. The only exception and difference during her first week with the kids is going to be the little trainings they do afterwards, little workshops and trainings they do afterwards at her site, at her work site and everything, which is the Head Start that she works at with the with the kids and all that, teaching them. So yeah, that's basically, and I know it sounded a little confusing and stuff, but that's basically, when you get down to it, what the difference is between semi-normal and normal and being back to it. Because again, back to semi-normal, yeah, I pretty much am doing the same stuff I'm doing now as back to normal. The only difference though is my mom's schedule could be a little unpredictable, because I never know when she might get off and everything due to the fact that it's the first 2 weeks of getting things set, getting things ready, doing trainings, so, I don't know. I don't know what would be the first, not first, but I don't know what would be the, initial off times for her during those 2 weeks. Because of that. And also, we got, like I said, we got birthdays and everything to celebrate. We don't know what's going to happen there. So it's just one of those things, you know what I mean? And then on top of that, like I said, the difference between that and normal is with the normal, I know exactly what's going on. I have an idea of what the schedule is for her, pretty much 95% of the time. and working on not, I could still be able to do what I'm doing now. Like I can walk around without any issue. You know what I'm saying? I can walk around, whether people like that in my videos or not, I can walk around without any issue, without anybody asking me, any questions and stuff about what I'm doing. I can do that without any problem. So that's basically what the differences between normal and semi-normal are. Now, to get to the rest of the vlog, because I know you're wondering, oh my God, he just went into convoluted, repeated, confusing mode, detailing, the difference. Yeah, I do apologize. That is one trait I think me and my sisters get from my mom is, my mom's very detailed. She likes to ask a lot of questions. She's very inquisitive, if you will, when it comes to wanting to know things and all that. So yeah, I guess you can kind of say me and my sisters get that from her, maybe even my granddaughter. And not my granddaughter, but my niece, her granddaughter, my niece. It's early, like I said, or at the beginning. But just like, again, like I said, that's we kind of get that from my mom, between being detailed and, kind of trying to explain the differences and all that. We kind of get that from her. So does my niece, so does my nephew, and all that. But as far as the rest of this initial week, which ended, yesterday, because yesterday was Labor Day, it was fine. It was all right. I mean, of course, we celebrated. The way it was that on the 24th, which was a week ago this past Saturday, which was my sister's birthday, the 31st. On the 24th, we celebrated a week later my great niece's fourth birthday at my middle sister's house because a little bit more room and stuff. So we did that. She had fun and everything. And then the following night, we celebrated my mom's birthday by going to a Modesto Nuts game. And the good news is they're going to be staying for one more season. The Modesto Nuts, of course, are a single A developmental team under the Seattle Mariners. While the team they were playing, the San Jose Giants, well, of course, the single A developmental team under the San Francisco Giants. Anyway, we went and celebrated her birthday there. It was just me, my older sister and her husband, my middle sister and her husband, and my niece, because my niece is like, look, I'm not going to take my daughter here, even though she's 4 years old. I'm not going to take her here because it'd be too overstimulus for her and all that. Thankfully, they didn't have the Nuts mascots there this time around because that really would have drove her cuckoo. Anyway, that being my great niece. But yeah, we did that. My great niece went and paid $5 to get my mom's birthday announcement along with other birthday announcements put onto the scoreboard, and she got a big pop for that. My mom, when they did that, my mom apparently got the biggest pop of the night when that came up. And again, as I mentioned in the last vlog, you could look that up here on my channel. So she got like the biggest pop. And then afterwards, of course, a week ago, yesterday, she took, the 26th off because we got home late and stuff. So, so she did that. And then she spent the rest of the week just of course, she spent the rest of the week at work after the 26th, training and all that, getting things ready, doing home visits and all that, just to, get to know the kids, get to know the parents. And if she had one complaint in her first 2 weeks, the complaint that she had was, the first weekend, not even 3 days in, on that third day, which would have been, I think, the 21st, she and her teachers got saddled with a bunch of students that they were not used to, and the students weren't used to them, because the teachers that were using the facility during the summer, because the facility was being remodeled, had to, and I think I've mentioned that before, had to basically go and put their stuff. They basically had to go back to the site and basically reorganize, get all the stuff put back where it was. But according to one of my mom's friends, one of her teacher friends, who I guess was there or talked to somebody that was there, those teachers that were trying to get everything back to normal for them, at their site, were goofing around. And that kind of was like a clue to my mom, like, no wonder the kids they teach are not listenable. So anyway, that was, like I said, the 21st. That was 2 weeks ago. That was basically 2 weeks ago this upcoming Wednesday, tomorrow, that is. 2 weeks ago tomorrow. She mentioned that, her friend did. And anyway, long story short, she wasn't too thrilled about that, her job would basically thrust her and the other teachers into that instead of just letting them get their place together, instead of letting them get their things going and stuff. And then, if that's not enough, last week, they had to clean out one of the sheds and everything because they got to do that every year they go back to have it ready to go for that year's storage of stuff and everything. And it was hot. Of course, it was one of the hot days, and my mom was not happy about that. So she even said they didn't have no shade for them and all that. And I'm thinking, why not? They should, and everything. So she wasn't happy there. And then also last week, on one of the, I don't know what day it was, they did the home visits to get to know the kids. And apparently, basically, one of the kids that they're going to have lives far out in the country in Livermore, like way out. I wouldn't say way out there, but the way my mom described it, it's like, they need to either send them, someplace closer to learn, or someone's going to have to get a bus. Or so. It's like, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous to my mom to have to drive down there and everything. And then, of course, they had trainings in other places. As well, I think they had a training or two in Pleasanton or Dublin, one of the places. She said the place they were going to went by a different name, or whatever. But anyway, that's what happened that week. And for me, of course, I've been checking up, at home. For me, I've been checking up, trying to make sure I have, have some kind of response from Kohl's or someone to, get me start working. So keep that in your prayers. I put a application via my phone into Costco, so hopefully I might get something there in Turlock. So keep that in your prayers, guys. Also, what's interesting is last week as well, on the day my mom took off after her birthday, the 26th. That's normally when Amazon takes out my annual payment from my Prime account, right? Because either you can do monthly or annual. It all depends if you got the money. I'm sure a lot of people would say annual is easier because you don't have to pay that much until, 1 year later and all that. And I get that. I do. But, financially, not a lot of people can afford that. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so for me, when it comes to my other subscriptions, I used to do monthly. But when it's Amazon, I'm like, yeah, that's the only one I might do annual. But what's crazy and interesting, though, is last week for some reason, I get a text on my phone from my bank asking if I recognized the payment from Amazon. I'm thinking, yeah, I do. But what was crazy is the payment from Amazon was $149, and I checked on my thing, and it says $139 plus tax. Now, I can understand maybe if it's the tax, adds up to $149, almost $150. I get that. I understand that. But what's interesting, and this just blew my mind, is they took it out, and then, of course, well, here's the thing. I didn't have the money just yet in there because, I have unemployment, direct deposit. So my unemployment, goes in about between 8:30 and 9, basically around the time the bank's open. So so basically initially they had to, give me back my money because there was nothing in the account to take out. But even when the money went in and they could take it out, they didn't. And I'm thinking, I'm thinking, what's going on here? Because all of a sudden, I see a withdrawal for 149, which I can assume is the 139 plus tax. But then I see a deposit of that, not once but twice. Then what's interesting is later on last week, I go and I'm just taking something else. I go and get another notification on my text asking if I'm familiar with the 149 and the 81. Now the 81 was because I spent groceries on, via Instacart. But they still said the 149. I said yes. But once again, nothing was taken out. And I'm thinking, what's going on? So I check again my account, and it says the next payment is next year on the 26th. And last payment is in progress. And I'm thinking, what is going on here? My payment should have gone through, and everything. My payment should have gone through. I shouldn't have to, keep waiting and wondering, okay, why isn't my payment going through? Because I know even if I can't pay it, that when I initially get money, like a lot of us, it will go through. But it still hasn't. I'm thinking, what's going on? And then once again, just like last Monday, and this was, Saturday, this past Saturday? Or I think it was this past Saturday or Friday, one of them. Once again, it withdraws and then deposits it back in. I'm thinking, what is going on here? I'm thinking, what is going on here? So I don't know if any of you have dealt with that before, but it was just strange. But hey, I have money in there I didn't expect to still have, knowing myself. The only positive I look at is I add what I'm going to get on the 21st of this month from, YouTube. I add that onto whatever I have currently, so I kind of look at it that way, as strange as that might sound. Because I'm just adding on future payment, for me. I'm just adding that on to what I currently have and going by that, being like, hey, I'll be fine by the time we get to the middle of the month. But yeah, that was interesting. And then of course on Sunday, which was 2 days ago, we went to my older sister's to celebrate her birthday because she went to the new Chicken Ranch Casino in Jamestown, California, basically in the middle of nowhere, if you will, to celebrate her birthday on Saturday. And then she came back the next day. You could tell she and her husband were tired, but, they still went along with what we were going to do for them. I mean, initially my niece, wanted to have my sister, her mom's birthday at her place, make it easier, but then now we're just going to go home because I think they want to sleep. So we did that. And we basically, long story short, we bought Wingstop. My niece bought her a little beer taco cake, if you will, and everything. It was like from Baskin Robbins. It was like it was like a 3-piece cake or 2-piece cake. Like one piece of the cake was in the shape of a beer, and the other was in the shape of 2 tacos and everything. And I do apologize for that notification there. But yeah, that's what my niece got her. And then basically, after that, not after that, but then, I'm trying to find out what to say. So after that, we saw the cake she got her. Again, like I said, we got Wingstop because I think it was easier and all that to get. And then after Wingstop, we went to the gas station because they wanted to get some Coronas. Well, they were out of beer, so we got Corona Extra. I did. And then I decided I'm going to get my sister something as well and my niece. So I got my niece a pack of cigarettes because, I don't want her to run out or ask her fiance for, okay, you got more and everything. So I got her that. And then I got my sister, and I was getting some reactions even from some of the customers in there at the Valero. I got my sister Dragon Fruit MD 2020, Mad Dog 2020. And everybody's like, oh, God. Oh, no. And I was like, hey, I got it for her. I don't know if she got to finish it a little bit. She drank some of it, but not all of it. But if I'm her and I'm working at Kohl's, yeah, I think I would take a swig of that just to calm down and everything. Yeah, I tasted it. It wasn't too bad. But then again, maybe over time, it will get to you. I think it does kind of hit you up here a little bit. Because I did sense something like that. I did feel something like that. But, hey, lesson learned. I didn't think it tasted too bad. Didn't think it tasted too bad. So anyway, that's what happened on Sunday. And then of course after that we went home afterwards and everything, and that's all I can really say. But yeah, not much. But yeah, that's all that happened this past week. And like I said at the beginning, my mom is back at work. Things are back to normal now because I know her schedule, 95% of it. And that's about it. That's all I can say. So let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Comment down below. Love to hear what your thoughts on this vlog. I know it's made it sound confusing and everything. Again, I'm doing this early in the morning, right before 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. that is. But let me know what your thoughts are. Comment below, like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, really helps me out. Also, check out the Teespring store. Description is the link, I should say, is in the description to my Teespring store. Get some merchandise there. It would help me out tremendously. Also, check me out at the other links to where you can find my content at Rumble, Odyssey, VENMO, iHeartRadio, Spotify for podcasters, and so on. But guys, that's all I'm going to say on this vlog for this past week. And until then, I'll talk to y'all later.